Okay, it's now 10 p.m. Japan. I welcome everyone to the 11th virtual UNISEC Global Meeting, July 17th, 2021. This meeting will last for 2 hours, from 10 p.m. to midnight in Japan Standard Time. We have opening remarks by Sir Martin Sweeting, and then a presentation by Juan Dalmau, President of ISU. And we also have later on a activity report from UNISEC Nepal. So without further ado, I invite Sir Martin Sweeting, who is the chair of Surrey Space Center and executive chair of SSTL. Sir Sweeting, you have the floor.
Thank you very much indeed, George, and a very warm welcome to everybody. First of all, it is a great pleasure to be invited by Ray-san and UNISEC Global to participate in this afternoon, or at least this afternoon for me, this seminar. And it's a particular honor to introduce Dr. Mr. Juan Dalmau, the president of the International Space University, and particularly to welcome him on behalf of UNISEC Global. I am a great admirer of the ISU, having been involved on the side of it for many years since its formation and watched its continued and growing success. And I know that Juan's contribution to this over recent years has been very significant. So the question today is to consider the role of space agencies in promoting space education. And I would actually link this not just to education, but also in stimulating what has become called a new space, the resurgence of space and its broadening of its activities almost universally beyond those areas which it was traditionally 20 or 30 years ago, where it was restricted to superpowers and large corporations. Now every company, every university, high school can participate in space. So space education is absolutely key to driving not just the general education about space, but also stimulating the commercial exploitation of it. So I would like to just offer in a couple of minutes some personal thoughts to perhaps stimulate the discussion, and these might be slightly controversial. By example, at Surrey in the UK, we have essentially two organizations, the Surrey Space Center, which is an academic research organization, and SSTL, which was a commercial spin-out some 30 years ago from the university. And these two continue to work closely together as an example of the synergy of academic research and commercial exploitation, because I firmly believe that the best way to learn is to do, i.e. to actually get your hands involved directly in activities, not learning just simply by watching, but by getting involved. So at Surrey, interestingly, the role of government in helping promote this has been quite interesting to observe. Over the years, from Surrey's activities, 95% of the funding has come from commercial activities and only 5% from government support. But however, it's really important to note that government support came in at some very key times in order to help fund some critical funding to demonstrate new technologies coming out of the academic research, and sometimes to support initial business initiatives before, in a sort of pre-market business ideas, before the market could recognize the possibilities of the commercial exploitation. Then a little bit of government support was absolutely critical. And I think there are a couple of occasions in our history where without that key government support, we would have not succeeded. And of course, the role of government in education more directly is really key through the general funding of university courses, but also in helping with the possibly most politically, the international transfer of that knowledge to developing and emerging space nations. And through the various technology training and know-how transfer programs, UK government has not funded these with any real money, But what they have done is to provide at key points the necessary political support to encourage the partners to join us in a project. So my message actually is one which is not always terribly popular, and that is that government support is not for small satellite activities and startups. Whilst very helpful at certain key points, it's really critical not to become dependent, i.e. to become addicted to government funding, because what that tends to do is it does tend to, in the politest sense, tend to make you a little bit lazy and dulls your initiative. So the key point is to stay hungry, but critically not starving. And the role of government is to prevent you starving and to help you just get over some of the initial hurdles and then leave you to it. And at Surrey's experience, over the years, the very small amount of government funding that they have put in has yielded in excess of a 40 to 1, that's 40 to 1 return on their initial investment. So the key message is government funding is really essential at the key critical junctures, but don't become addicted to it, don't become dependent on it, stay hungry, because that way you'll be sharper both in education and in exploitation. Thank you very much.
Okay, Sir Sweeting, that was very interesting. We have to be lean and hungry then, right?
Yep.
So let's move on to the main presentation today from Mr. Juan Dalmau, who is the current president of the International Space University. So Juan, you have the floor now. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, and greetings from Strasbourg, France, where I'm speaking to you today in a somewhat cloudy afternoon in the middle of a hands-on exercise by the participants to the Space Studies program, who are precisely this afternoon launching their micro rockets. This has been an exercise by small teams of multidisciplinary graduate students coming from all over the world. This year, we're gathering more than 100 young space professionals coming from over 30 nationalities. Due to the COVID situation, we had to split these groups in 3 different locations to be able to handle the health requirements in a safer way. So 1/3 of the class is in fact following online. 1/3 is physically here at ISU Central Campus in Strasbourg, and 1/3 is at our partner university for this summer, the University of Granada in Spain. But they are all launching rockets today, and it is really a pleasure to be with you on such a special day, and I would say on such a special week. And if Sir Martin Sweeting allows me, I would like to call this the week of the Sirs. We all know that Martin Sweeting was condecorated with the prestigious title of Sir by Her Majesty the Queen in the UK because of his very smart and very successful endeavors in the UK, both at university and at private industry levels, as he very well explained to us. And the other Sir of this week, I think you will have guessed by now, was being covered by media all over the world this past Sunday. Sir Richard Branson, another UK-rooted brilliant mind who has shown to the world that private initiatives can make a difference. Personally, if you allow me to go into the topic of today's discussion, which is space agencies and space education, I would like to agree 300% with what Sir Martin Sweeting has just said. And I will allow myself to quote him in the future with the very precise description of organizations being hungry but not starving. And that's exactly where the International Space University is today and where I believe it has been for many years. We have been a hungry organization, but not starving. Why do I say this? Because very much like the initiatives that Sir Martin Sweeting has launched in his career, the International Space University is a small organization, even if it has been existing for about as long as the Surrey Satellite Center, about 30 years. We remain very small, less than 30 employees, 30. We remain independent from any government. And that was part of the vision of the ISU founders, not to be part of any public university network, which keeps us hungry because we have to go out and convince our stakeholders year after year of the interest of investing and selecting students and giving scholarships to those who want to come and learn with us. So I think the fact of being hungry is very healthy. I can testify myself, if you allow me a personal anecdote. Very often our professors ask our students, if you could only choose 2 things that you could carry with you to space, what would they be? In my case, I always had an answer for myself that I wouldn't say in public, but I always had a very clear and quick answer, and that is that I would carry with me water and bread. Why water and bread? Well, maybe that's why in many prisons in the past, the convicts were kept alive with water and bread. So that might be a reason. And let me now look at how to not starve by giving you a few examples of how we work with different space agencies and how we see different space agencies around the world conduct their space education activities. And let me just start by a personal example. When I was a young engineer working at the European Spaceport in Kourou, I had the privilege of meeting with Sir Martin Sweeting's early colleagues from the University of Surrey, who went to Kourou to launch the very first UO-SAT, University of Surrey satellite. And that was a great initiative. And I could discuss with very enthusiastic and promising young people. And during that time, in the late 80s, I was privileged to receive a joint scholarship from the French Space Agency CNES and from the European ESA to attend the International Space University Space Studies program in the summer of '89. So I have to acknowledge, and this is my way of thanking the sponsors, government agencies, for having sent me to such an interesting and useful course back then. And I think that it's, as Martin has described it, the role of governments is to be at the right time, at the right place to provide with the seed money or with the catalyzing effort to trigger commercial initiatives. If we look at the study that the University of Tokyo and UNISEC have proposed in recent meetings, I've been very interested in reading the documents from the past meetings where it is proposed that we have an academic exercise in looking at how space agencies conduct education activities. If I was part of this effort, I would suggest that the researchers look into the government policies in different countries, because obviously most space agencies, they follow government policies. For example, in the UK Space Agency has been able to persuade the government to approve a national space strategy with very ambitious objectives of commercial growth. So that's objective number one in the UK and also in other countries. Commercial growth of the space industry with numbered key performance indicators and milestones when the country wishes to achieve a certain number of turnover of the space industry or a certain percentage of the overall worldwide space economy. And we have seen in the UK, but also in other countries, that despite the change in government, despite the change of political parties who are at the head of governments, the space policy has been able to be maintained. And that continuity is key. This we see also in our relations between my university and different space agencies. We currently have the UK delegation of participants in our program is one of the largest. And that is thanks to very well invested public money by the UK Space Agency, who gives partial scholarships, and by the European Space Agency, who receives funding from all member states, of course, including the UK, who is one of the top 4. And those promising British space professionals can benefit from both partial fundings and go to these trainings that will make them really members of the worldwide space community. And some of them will become entrepreneurs. Let me just spend a minute on the entrepreneurship and the new space phenomenon that we observe. Maybe the word phenomenon is not the right one, but it is now becoming government policy. When we look, for example, at last January's annual space meeting of the European Union, some of the loudest buzzwords, but also politically presented intentions during that conference were workforce development, education, training of the space professionals, and entrepreneurship. So I think it will be interesting for UNISEC and the University of Tokyo to look at policies at government and at regional level, for example, at the EU level or at the ESA level, and see how the space agencies then transform those policies into actual programs and plans. In my opinion, for the study, it will also be important to look at who are the target audiences of space agencies, who are the target audiences in space education. Obviously, we can classify them by age. And there are many examples out there of how space agencies approach primary and secondary education with dedicated programs. In most cases, they target the teachers, because investing in a teacher has a wider payback, if I may use the term. As soon as a teacher of science or geography or history or arts or mathematics, as soon as one teacher understands how space can be used to inspire the pupils, that teacher will be the perfect space ambassador for years and for generations of pupils. So investing in teachers is what many agencies do. That might be one of the criteria for the study. When we look at universities, undergraduates or graduates, there the target audience is much smaller, so you can invest directly in the students themselves. And we see a great collection of examples in different space agencies, how they approach university students so that they are prepared to enter the space industry. Let me just give a small example here of Luxembourg. That's a more recent initiative, also government driven, but very commercially oriented, as we know. the Luxembourg Space Agency is less than 3 years old, but there is a clear government policy to introduce space industry into the economy of the country for the longer term. Luxembourg is collaborating with the European Space Agency as a member state. It has managed to create in Luxembourg an ESA laboratory for space resources and planetary exploration. Luxembourg has managed to attract space entrepreneurs, and it is managing to attract workforce. Most of the workforce and quite a few of the entrepreneurs, they come from other countries, but they are in Luxembourg and they contribute to the national economy. In the area of education, the Luxembourg Space Agency has developed a special collaboration with the University of Luxembourg to put in place a multidisciplinary space masters with which we're collaborating. So we see that whether the space policy has been existing for 30 years or whether it is recent, there's always an educational component, because governments need the workforce to get their space industry growing. At this point, I would like to ask our timekeeper to remind me of how many minutes I need to, or how many minutes I have to conclude. Maybe Kawashima-san.
George?
We have 14 minutes according to my clock.
Excellent. 14 more minutes. Yes, thank you.
Indeed.
I believe it could be helpful at this point to share with you some other examples of space agencies with whom we work and about whom we know a little bit about their education strategy. Let me start with a promising case, and I am using the diplomatic word of promising, and that is the Canadian Space Agency. For those who are familiar, there have been changes in priorities at the Canadian Space Agency. There have been changes at the top management. And unfortunately, in recent years, the budget for education at the Space Agency was dramatically reduced. So the aspect of promising is just to say that we hope, and we are working with the Canadian Space Agency to see how they can resume the good practice of helping the training of the promising Canadian space professionals. And if I take it to another part of the world, let me share with you how we see the strategy in the United Arab Emirates. And I think there are similarities with Luxembourg. Luxembourg was an economy focused very much on the financial world, insurances, and the government was looking to diversify. And space has been a great way to diversify their economy and to invest on a long-term plan. We see a similar happening at the UAE, where the government is clearly investing in diversifying their economy from the pure oil economy, and space is an important part. And we can see significant progress being made in the training, the education of the citizens of the UAE. And we now see brilliant scientists and brilliant managers taking care of the UAE's space programs, which includes, as we have all seen, applications in science, the exploration of Mars with a very long-term objective of a human mission to Mars in less than 100 years. And we can see the steps that are being taken in that direction. There is a well-recognized institute for human spaceflight research. And I hope that those of you who will be attending the International Astronautical Congress in October in Dubai, you will be able to visit some of those impressive facilities. Obviously, the UAE is investing in training its own people through the space agency. And there is clearly a budget at the UAE Space Agency. We've been honored to welcome some of their promising young professionals in our programs. Without leaving that part of the world, let me share with you how we see Israel. Obviously, Israel has a space agency, and it also has a very dynamic and very successful non-governmental organization called the Ramon Foundation. And I think, Sir Martin, you would agree with me if I give the example of the Ramon Foundation as someone who's able to stay healthy while being hungry, because they have to get public money from the space agency. I don't know how much they get, but probably not much. But they are very successful in getting private investors and donors who believe in space education. Obviously, the foundation is named after the late astronaut Ramon, but it's a private organization that is now, for example, managing all the activities surrounding the upcoming Rakia mission of Israel's second astronaut, Mr. Eitan Stibe. And this gentleman is a private citizen who will be a private space traveler in less than 6 months. And the Ramon Foundation is using this next mission to reach out to the whole country, especially the younger generations who are looking up to this astronaut. And the main objective of the whole campaign is to show to the Israeli younger generations that if they want, they can. Through study, through perseverance, and through conviction. And I have been personally a witness a couple of years ago of how the Ramon Foundation goes out to schools and organizes competitions for secondary school students to design experiments and to get them ready to be flown on board the International Space Station. And it's really hundreds of students gathering and showing their experiments and hoping that they will be the best. That's an incredible good learning. And with this, I would like to conclude by congratulating UNISEC because of the great work you are doing. I think out of the different examples that I've been giving, UNISEC is able to combine them all. And not only at a national level in Japan, but also worldwide. Every time I read about what UNISEC Global is doing in many emerging countries, I really admire the work you do, because you are able to convey this enthusiasm towards the future space professionals, even outside of your country. I think that is an example that space agencies should follow. If you look at the policies, most space agencies are looking indoors, into their own citizens. And there are not many examples of space agencies who look outside. So congratulations to UNISEC. But you should know that you are not alone. I think you have a good friend in the Netherlands. And that's my last anecdote. The ISU was hosted by 2 universities in the Netherlands in the summer of 2018 for the yearly Space Studies program, and also by ESA's Technology Center. And the government of the Netherlands was obviously a partner in the local host organization who provided a guarantee, a financial guarantee in case it would be needed. And the decision makers at the level of the Dutch government, but also at the level of the universities and some private companies, they saw that they were investing to host a 2-month program and to bring in 150 people from all over the world and to become the space capital for one summer. But they saw also the importance of this not being a one-off effort, but this being an investment for the longer term. So they decided that since the training provided by ISU is beneficial for their own workforce, they decided that they would set up a foundation that would collect money following Sir Martin's model. They would collect money from the government and from private companies so that every year they could provide scholarships to their promising graduate students to attend ISU programs wherever they would take place. And why do I say that UNISEC is not alone? Because the requirements by this Dutch foundation, by the way, the name is Stichting Space Professionals Foundation, SSPF. And I would be honored to make an introduction if needed. The requirement for the candidates to benefit from the SSPF scholarships is that they have to have a connection with the Netherlands. And the connection means that you don't need to be a citizen. You can be someone who lives or works or studies in the Netherlands, or you can be a Dutch citizen working abroad. So you're not alone. And I know that in Japan, there are also scholarship programs. We know through our collaboration with Tohoku University, for example, that some of our graduates, they go there for their PhD and they don't have to be Japanese nationals. So I think that's the way to go. Try to not limit our investment into our own citizens. So with this, I would like to conclude and just to launch a question, because I haven't been able to look at the names of all the people who are in the room here, but I would imagine that our alumna from the Masters in 1997, Ms. Sasaki Kaori, who, if I'm not mistaken, is taking care of space education at the Japanese JAXA agency. Maybe she's in the room and could be part of our dialogue. I just checked that she's in charge of education. So I think that very soon we will see JAXA really investing again in space education. I guess that's one of the objectives of this whole project. Thank you all very much for your attention, and happy to be part of the discussion.
Thank you very much, Juan. I think we have time for one question. Does someone wish to ask a question? No one? Well, Ray.
I have one question.
Okay.
Okay, the ASU is satisfied with the JAXA's the contribution to ISU?
Yes. The ISU is run by our General Assembly, and JAXA is a part of that. Even more, the General Assembly decides on who sits on the board of ISU, and we have the great honor of seeing Mr. Norimitsu Kamamori from JAXA as a member of our board. He's a very proactive and very supportive person. He's helping the ISU to keep the JAXA management informed of our activities, our upcoming programs. And for example, some of our students have been hosted by JAXA for their compulsory master's internship despite COVID. And JAXA has developed a special and adapted internship program to be conducted remotely by investing in time in video calls so that our interns could really meet with people. So we're very thankful for this innovative approach by JAXA. We're also looking at new initiatives that will be conducted by my successor starting September 1st. As you might know, Professor Pascal Ehrenfreund will take the presidency. She is currently the Chancellor of ISU, and she's also the President of the International Astronautical Federation. But she will come to Strasbourg full-time to run the university, and she has very clear objectives to reinforce the collaboration in different parts of the world, including in Japan, of course.
Okay, Juan, thank you very much for those comments. So we're going on to the breakout discussion. As usual, the MC is Nate Taylor in Adelaide, Australia. Nate, you have the floor.
Thank you, George. It's fantastic to see everybody again, by the way. Thank you for joining again tonight, and a special thank you to Sir Martin and to Juan as well. Yeah, very interesting topics of discussion and very relevant for what we're going to be discussing tonight. So I hope you've had a look at the file that I sent through ahead of time, but if you haven't, that's okay, because I'll walk you through it. So for those of you who haven't joined the breakout session before, we'll be splitting you up into small groups. You'll have 35 minutes to look at a scenario that we've put together for you. And this time it's about space agencies and their role. So I'll walk you through that in a moment, but you'll get together. Yes?
I think some people have not no chance to take a look at the scenario. So can
that's okay.
Explain a little bit?
Absolutely. I'll walk everybody through it. So what we'll do actually is I'll just share my screen quickly with you. So you should be able to see this scenario here. So we're going to do this scenario, which is that you and your team have just been appointed as heads of the newly formed space agency for your nation, Cosmoria, which is fictional. The agency has not yet set priorities, actions, or developed a plan. So the question is, how should your space agency proceed? Your first task is to create a set of 5 actions or priorities for Cosmoria's space agency. And I've listed some quick facts here about Cosmoria. So they have no active role in the space industry. They have no space infrastructure. They suffer from red tide, algal bloom, which needs monitoring. The government is really keen on education and educating experts in their own country, and they would like to have the capacity to build a satellite in their own country. So from those quick facts, you can try and create a set of 5 actions or priorities. And if you finish that task, you can move on to the second task, which is a budget allocation. So you've got a budget of $25 million US, how should you allocate that budget based on your plan in task 1? So what are you going to prioritize and how are you going to distribute that money? And I'll just share with you something else that I put together actually. So just bear with me again. So you don't have to do this. This is just an example of something you could do, for instance. So I've just done 3 things here on this slide. So the first would be to engage the global community and regulate the industry. And that could be doing things like joining UNCOPUS, creating regulations, obviously, enhancing the space education capability. So partnering with the ISU, doing HEPTASAT training, putting a plan in place for long-term education, and then somehow engaging the private sector. This has been cut off the bottom of this slide, but this is about seed funding, developing a satellite and building a launch facility. So those are some examples. And I'll just share one more document with you as well, which is the PDF that I sent through to everybody via email. Just to show you, if you do get stuck throughout this activity, this is the explanation of the activity. It's got all the quick facts on it. If you get stuck, you can scroll down to page 2, and I've just put some tips here to things that you can think about when you're looking at your planning, and then also to some common space agency priorities. So things that space agencies will typically look at when they're trying to develop a plan. So you can look through some of these and use them if you want. Otherwise, if you've come up with other brilliant ideas, please use those instead. So I hope that is clear. And what I'll do now is I'll split you into your breakout rooms. And when you get in there, you can have a look at the task at hand. That's everybody. And you all had slightly different approaches, which was good to see as well. But thank you all very much. I hope you enjoyed that activity. And that concludes the breakout sessions.
Okay,
so
Nate, thank you for conducting the breakout. We're running 5 minutes early right now. Ray, do you have something to do, or shall we proceed to Nepal?
I think I think Nepal has lots of things to say, so maybe they can use 15 minutes.
Okay, so Devraj Pant, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. So I understand you're speaking on behalf of Abbas Maski. You represent UNISEC Nepal. Can you briefly introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Devraj Pant, and today I will be presenting on the behalf of Dr. Maske, who is the point of contact for UNICEF Global to Nepal. So,
no, what I mean is, what do you do and where did you study, etc.?
I have just done my undergraduate. I have done in electrical and electronic engineering.
Oh, okay. So, all right, that's good. Please put up your slide. Okay, it's coming up. Okay, it's full screen. We're ready.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity, and today I will be presenting the activity report for UNICEF Nepal. For today, the agendas are these. And in Nepal, we have 3 universities. We have a point of contact in 3 universities, and a total 5 engineering colleges are now connected to the UNICEF Global, and 1 agency, Antariksha Pratishthan Nepal, is also also recently joined the UNISEC Global. So the timeline for the UNISEC Nepal is in 2016 we joined the UNISEC Global, and we started Sasto Sat grassroots model program from Kathmandu University. And then in 2017 to 2018, we continued the Sasto Sat training in school level and Heptasat training in the university level. And firstly, this training were focused only on the capital city. Then we also started training the student outside the valley. And in 2019 and 20, we started designing the ground station in Nepal, and we also organized the first CANSAT competition in Nepal here at Kathmandu University. And in this year, we formed a team for Nepali Sat 2 project, and we also developed a new satellite, educational satellite keel named Sasto Cube. So these are the activities done by the UNISEC Nepal in Nepal. The first activities is Sasto Sat grassroots model, and the main goal of the activity is to train both the engineering student and high school student about the satellite, basic of satellite. And the project started in 2014 from Korea, and then the technology transfer occurred, and it is still in continue. Then we continue working on the satellite, and we just started providing the CANSAT workshop in 2019. And in first picture, we can see the ground station design that we made, and in the other picture, we can see the giving the CANSAT competition at different colleges in Nepal. CANSAT workshop at different colleges. Then we conducted the first CANSAT competition at Kathmandu University in 2019, and we use a drone for the deployment of the satellite. And we can see our organizer member of the first CANSAT competition in the third picture. And the total of the 9 teams were presented from all over the Nepal. The competition is organized in 3 phases, like in 3 rounds: first round, second round, and third round. As we have 9 teams, so we can see that in the first picture, the rover is taking the CANSAT to the lunar zone, and in the third picture, we can see that the rover is clearing the obstacle. And then we start. The UNISEC Nepal started developing the Sasto Cube, the educational kit. The project was launched in January 1, 2020, and it took 6 months to complete. And it was actually the 1U CubeSat, and the purpose was to provide educational training from grade 7 and above students. So we can see in this picture that the process of developing the Sasto Cube, and we can see here Dr. Mahavir Poon, who supported for this project from National Innovation Center, and the final product is the first picture. And then we started the first field test of this Sasto Cube on recently 5 to 11 July 2021, and we can see in this different photos the students of grade 7 to 10 working and taking training of the Sasto Cube. The project, the field test is organized in a remote village in Nepal, like Khotang district, and around 50 students participated in the workshop from 4 different schools. And then moving on, we can see that the now different organization working in the space sector in Nepal and there are like 9 or 10 organizations till now, and from this organization, from this both government side and non-government private side, the different satellite projects are being conducted, and one of them is the SANOSAT-1 project. Is a pico satellite project done by the Orient Space, a private company in Nepal. The project started in 2018, and it is waiting for its launch date in 2021. And we can see in this figure the timeline of the SANOSAT-1. Secondly, the other organization, it is other organization SITS Nepal, the chapter of SITS Global, and the SITS Nepal started making a rocketry project named Garuda in Nepal, and around 3 university students gathered together, and they started working to make a model of a rocket, and they also participated in the 2021 Virtual Spaceport America Cup for seeing how far they have gone, and they are still improving the system, and they are still working on, and we can see in the final picture the launch done by the team. Secondly, thirdly, the other organization working in the space sector in Nepal is WA Nepal. Like the organization is like conducting different panel discussion, speaker series, and other workshops to empower the women in space sector. So the organization has conducted like panel discussion by inviting the famous women from different area, from the aeronautics area to for the talk series and discussions. And now I'm talking about the DREAM project, Nepali Sat-2. The DREAM project is being initiated in Nepal in 2020, and it roots back 2019. The deployment of Nepali first Nepali Sat-1 from as a BORS 3 project under the BORS 3 project, and then it now the engineer now the scientists who were involved in the development of BORS like Nepal BORS project, BORS 3 project to make Nepali Sat-1 come back to Nepal, and they are making like they are developing grassroots infrastructure here in Nepal, and they have started Nepali Sat-2 project in Nepal. So basically the DREAM project built the world's first high school satellite constellation, and by collaborating with State Thailand, and build a strong role model in public school. So after building a satellite, the students were involved in making a satellite will be responsible for training the high school student, and so in this way we'll be developing a group of student and interested, and so they can provide education about the space technology in low cost and create a high impact in our society. And this other project like DREAM project. Under the DREAM project, like we have Nepali Sat-2. We have 3 phases. The first phase is SastoCube, as I explained before. SastoCube, the CubeSat, it is completed now, and in the process of deploying and training the students in different schools. Now we are on UNISEC Nepal is conducting Padyatri mission here in Nepal, under which Nepal will develop one mission board, and other payload will be developed the other participating country, and the bus system will be developed by the Thailand. So we are UNISEC Nepal is collaborating with Thailand for the Padyatri mission. It will it has been already started in Nepal in April 2022 one with MDR, and we recently the team member recently gone through the PDR in July 1, 2021, and now the team is waiting for the CDR in August 15, 2021, and finally the final review readiness review is remain to be decided. So we have invited a member from different member from different country who previously involved in satellite development, and we have taken their review and their suggestion for the development. So the other mission is the Vidyalay mission. Vidyalay in Nepali, in English means like school. So Vidyalay school. So we will be having a school Vidyalay mission where the UNISEC global team will be training and conducting different workshops in different schools, and training a group of students to make a Nepali first to make a CubeSat. And so we have a dream project, and this all project like Sastrocube, Padyatri, and Vidyalay come under the dream project. And the dream project is for the date 2050. So as after the placement of Nepal first sat in orbit, we are planning to put first Nepali human in orbit. So we are trying to, UNISEC Global is trying to make student dream big. Thank you.
Excellent. Devraj, you ended exactly on time. Thank you for the update from UNISEC Nepal. We're now at 11:40 in Japan. We now go to announcements and closing remarks by Ray Kawashima. Ray, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. But before moving on, I have one question to Nepal. My question is you guys are helping high school kids to build a satellite, and my question is why high school kids need to build the CubeSat? If they have CanSat, they can do CanSat and other model rocket and other things. But why but CubeSat is costs a lot, and launch cost is quite huge. And why are you helping the high school kids to launch the real CubeSat?
So basically, it is under the project we are collaborating with other countries. So we have to build a CubeSat to launch that, and the other goal is that when the team will train the like school student the CubeSat, first the student first the trainer who will train need to understand about the satellite. So they will learn by first themselves, and they will go for the school level student to teach further. So we have chosen CubeSat. So we have chosen a CubeSat, not a CanSat, because like trainer also want to grow fast, and then when the trainer pass the technology to the school student, they will also know something bigger.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so then okay, thank you very much. Then I will make some announcement. So new local chapter this month, none. I see none. Oh, sorry, this is last month. I'm sorry. This month, we do not have new university members. Next virtual meeting is next month, next August 21st, the third Saturday, same time. And we have not decided yet what's the theme and confirm speaker. But local job representation will have UNISEC Peru next month. And in September, UNISEC Tunisia and UNISEC Samara will make a presentation. And this is the the announcement. We have decided to postpone the abstract deadline of Seventh Nation Idea Contest, July 21st. So 5 days left. And also we changed the venue. Originally we are planning to organize it at the University of Tokyo, but we have the better, the more convenient place. So we will hold the competition at the ex-Nihonbashi, in the very center of the Tokyo. I really hope that in November, the pandemic is a little bit better, the situation is better, and we can get together. But it will be held in hybrid way. So if you cannot come, you can join through online. Oh, okay. This is the faculty position. The Kyushu Institute of Technology is seeking the very nice, I would say, sales person. So if you are interested in it, please take a look at the website and contact the QTech directory. And this is the announcement on October meeting. We will have Professor Kello, and well, maybe we need to ask him what he wants to talk about. He has lots of things that he wants to talk, but we can allocate maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes at maximum. So he needs to choose what he's going to talk.
Ray, can I ask how you got him to speak for us?
Is Professor Kello?
Yes.
Okay. I met him in the United Nations COPIUS, the side event. It was held in May. Yeah. The STSC Science and Technology Subcommittee. The Switzerland lady was in charge of chair of the whole session. Then that's why the Switzerland they organized a side event in the first day, and I attended it. And his boss and Professor Carroll talked about lots of interesting things. Mainly, they are complaining about the lost dark sky. They cannot observe what they want to see anymore because there are too many satellites on the sky, so they cannot see that kind of things. And it was, but his talk was very interesting. So I contacted him after that, and his secretary. They discussed with him, and we got yes. So I think we are just lucky.
Okay.
Thank you. And then I think this time maybe we will have a very special session. So I'm planning what are we going to do. Okay, and future planning, the mission idea contest, abstract submission due is July 21st. And the other Union Corpus meeting is August 25th to September 3rd. And Samara Space International Summer Space School, space, it's redundancy, I'm sorry. It will be held in August to September. And the PINA workshop, PINA is Pico and Nano satellite workshop, will be held in Germany in September. And IEC in Dubai is October. The MIG-7 final presentation is November 13. The IAA First African Symposium for Small Satellite in South Africa is November 29th, December 1st. And it's almost same time, Asia Pacific Regional Space Agency Forum, APSAP, will help in Vietnam. But we are afraid that it will be held through online, only online. But the decision has not been made yet. Please let us know if you are given information, if you want to share here. We also can share it on our website or our mailing list. Okay. So thank you. So we have 10 minutes left. Okay, so now it's your time. If you have anything you want to share, please share now. Let me check.
I have
Yes,
one
sure.
one announcement.
Yeah.
I put it in the chat already. Just yesterday, UN-USA JAXA announced the 7th round of Kibu Cube. I think many of you know Kibu Cube, but if you don't, it goes like this. If you have enough money to develop your own 1U CubeSat, but you don't have the resources to have it launched into space, then you should consider this. It's a competition held by UN-USA JAXA, and the winner gets a free deployment from the ISS. So for someone who wants their satellite to be put into space, this is something to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Maybe I can make if I am allowed to make an announcement. This is Juan speaking.
Please.
And in fact, I've been inspired by George Maeda-san, by his announcement. There is an agreement between the United Nations UNOSA office as well and the ISU that has been signed but has not been announced yet. And that is about a joint scholarship program for students from emerging countries who will receive scholarships from both organizations, UNOSA and ISU, to attend the master's or the space studies programs in Adelaide or in the Northern Hemisphere summer in different countries. So stay tuned for the announcement.
So
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Juan, I want to congratulate you on this agreement because I understand the funding is coming out of UN-USA.
A small part of the funding comes from UN-USA, and that is for the travel. So if a student is accepted to the master's in Strasbourg, for example, UN-USA will cover the travel, and ISU needs to cover either with own funds or with third parties, all the rest, meaning the tuition, the cost of living for 1 year, and insurance. So that's a challenge more for ISU. And we will only call for candidates once we have the full funding in place. So there's still work to be done, if that was your question, George.
Well, yeah. So I want to congratulate the fact that you're able to get some amount of funding from an organization that's not famous for generosity.
Yes, well, maybe I can explain where it comes from. And this is, I believe, a good example of many of the ISU collaborations with all sorts of partners. Very, very often they are triggered by our own alumni. And I think you see this also at UNISEC. So for example, if you look back at the locations where the ISU has been hosted by universities worldwide, in many cases, it is an alum or an alumna who comes from that university or from that country who went back home and said, I want to bring this program to my country because I can see the value of it. And then obviously other decision makers came on board, but the seed idea very often comes from alumni. So that's something that we treasure and we value very much, the relations with our former students and to keep them engaged. But I think that's not new to you. You're very, very aware of it.
Yes, okay. Anybody else have announcements tonight?
Okay. Juan, do you have any announcement?
We have an iCase 2021 conference.
What's this?
For November 16th to 18th. That is the only space exploration, everything about space conference in Taiwan.
What is IKA? Is
iCase is just I have the just maybe I have a hard time to post the flyer.
Okay, no problem. So some important the conference will be held in Taiwan. Okay.
So it's an international conference on astronautics and space exploration.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, and I'll answer the question from Christian. The deadline for missionary contest is July 21st. Japan time, yes, but we can adjust your time, so don't worry. We can wait until yeah, actually almost 24 hours difference. So we can wait. Okay, so are there anybody who wants to say something? Willie, okay, Willie, please.
Thank you. As you know, we have a group of students who are working in the abstract for Mission Idea Contest number 7. So when you say about the deadline, it's at 12 o'clock in the midnight in Japan, or is it 5 p.m. or whatever?
Well, it's the 21st. Let's say maybe Japan time is quite difficult for you, challenging to you. So we will adjust to your time.
Yeah, but the deadline is at 12 o'clock or
12 o'clock, yes, yeah.
12 o'clock, okay.
12 o'clock your time.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Okay, are there anybody else? We have 2 more minutes. No. Okay.
Well, if you want to fill in the last minute, I can post on the chat the link to the ISU alumni conference that's coming up in 2 weeks with very interesting panels and topics on space in general with speakers from all over the world. So I will post the link in a second.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the alumni weekend. It's always very, very interesting.
It's open to anyone.
Yeah.
And some really fantastic guests as well, Juana. So I just did my registration actually. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Did you put the link?
I'm getting it.
Okay, no problem. We have 40 seconds. Okay, thank you. No. This is not. This is Juan Hans. Okay. Oh, Saleh? Oh, please, please say anything if you wanna say something. Juan, thank you. Please, the copy this link if you are interested in taking a look at the ISU. It's a very interesting place, and I think Juan's background is ISU headquarters, right?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Strasbourg is also very nicely pretty.
Yeah. Now this conference is online, so anyone can connect.
Okay. Good. Very good. Now.
And it's for free. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. And so I think this time is the awful time for me. I really hate that, but I need to say goodbye now. I'm very sad to say so, but I need to say. But next month we'll have the meeting again. So please take care of yourself and be happy and don't worry too much.